Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Listen, most XRP holders hear professional managers and yield and assume they will redeem XRP plus yield. The documents say otherwise. Cash settled redemptions in stablecoins or US dollar. No legal rights to the underlying XRP and qualified subordinated claims if things go wrong. Tonight, I'll show you the exact clauses on screen so you can decide for yourself if handing over your XRP is worth those risks. What's going on, crypto fam? We're going to get into it a little bit today. For sure, appreciate you guys checking in. Happy Tuesday. This live stream is not putting the right numbers out. Let me refresh the stream real quick from studio.youtube, youtube.com. The numbers are not showing up, right? Happy Tuesday. We're going to get into some things for sure. I'm going to let a few people check in before I give my three kind of things that I want to cover up front in terms of um what is the word I want to use? Three things up front that need to be said. Okay. This is important. This is important. I don't want anyone to miss it. I'm gonna let some people check in first before I go over those things. I don't have CoinGecko up. This is not about CoinGecko. It's not about what's going on in the market. I had to do some checking yesterday. I had to do some checking on some positions yesterday. But we're going to get into this mXRP thing and some of the things I've discovered and what I'll be covering on this live stream with you guys from their own documentation, their own public provided docs. I would share a conversation that I had, or not a conversation, but a message that I got from a friend of the channel. Not here, not from someone here in the States. But I'm not sure if I can share that. But in any case, yeah, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys checking in. Do me a favor, hit that like button on the way in. It's going to be a super cool hang today. And again, just understand that in my heart of hearts, I want what's best for the XRP holder. Not interested in metrics of TVL over that of the XRP holder. I'm interested in metrics of TVL for the XRPL, but not over the interest of bringing value to XRP holders. I want you to understand that. All right, so let me fix this chat, make sure this chat is working right. So three things I want to say this up front, okay? This is hugely important. Number one, this will not be a live stream about bashing or calling out Jungle Inc. or Crypto Eddie. This will not be that. Okay? This will not be that. I will never do a live stream doing that or allowing that to happen on any live stream that I do. So just understand that people like to come here and people get on these live streams. They want to come here and they're just ready to attack someone. No, we're not doing that here, especially not with those two. Especially not with those two. We will not be doing that here. So just understand. Give me a heads up. We'll have the mods. Get rid of that comment. Get rid of you from the live stream. We will not be doing that here. Number two, the information that I'm covering here is solely from the public and available documentation, perspective, terms of agreements, all that nonsense that's publicly made available. And we're going to be going over that and share my discussion and my conversation about that, things in those public documents, including the prospectus for Midas, and confirmation of what I was thinking when I read it from ChatGPT. All right. Number three, the redemption part of this. there's a part that says in terms of it says form of final terms. So I just want you to understand that this form of final terms could, I don't know. It doesn't state it, but that could change. This form of final terms could change some things um, in terms of redemption. But I don't see it, but I just want to, um, I'll read it to you, but there's this form of final terms in parentheses that we have to look at. But what's literally posted is redemption is not in kind. Redemption, it is in cash. So we're going to get into that. Appreciate you guys checking in. Do me a favor and hit that like button. That would be super, super, super duper. So I'm going to start with the custody thing, and then I'm going to get into the 3 or 4 things that I found today that are just alarming, absolutely alarming. And we're going to cover that. But first, I want to cover this custody versus non-custody thing. It's important, fam. It's important. Okay. I posted it on X. I probably should just go to my X first. Go to my X first. That's funny. Go to my X page here, and let me see if I can do this the right way. All right. So, excuse me. All right. Thanks for that. The likes and the hearts. I appreciate that. All right. Custody versus non-custody is important. STXRP keeps control in your wallet. mXRP asks you to hand it over. With STXRP, which is non-custodial, you keep control through your wallet, and the exits, redemption, and the exits are covered by code, not a desk or someone sitting at a desk. Predictability. Returns track staking economics. Pure black box surprises. The stress behavior. If market panics, black swan event, which I think this whole thing, anyway, this whole Midas thing it's about to become. All right. If market panics, you can still unstake or swap. Subject to liquidity, slant unbonding, and no human can gate you. No human can gate you, which in other words, be a gate between you and your assets. Can't happen with STXRP. With mXRP, which is custodial slant managed, there's trust transfer. You transfer control to a structure plus a manager. You rely on their processes and solvency path dependency. In turbulence, the issuer may gate redemptions, or apply NAV, net asset value haircuts. Strategy drawdowns can reduce the mXRP value. The counterparty stack. You accept custodian risk. You, the XRP holder, or used to be XRP holder because you've given up your XRP. You accept custodian risk, manager risk, bridge risk, and the most important one, legal slant structure risk. Any one of those can impair your redemption. What happens if crap hits the fan, which it always can? Bridge pause or exploit. Bridge pause on exploit. With STXRP, bridging may halt, but your claim is on chain. You can often operate within the native chain or wait for resumption. With mXRP, even if it's on chain looks fine, off-chain custody or cross-chain routes can freeze your redemptions. Trust me on that one, I know. Market shock, liquidity crunch. With STXRP, the APY may vary, swaps may have slippage, unbounding delay applies, yeah, like typical staking, for example, on Cosmos or on Polkadot, 14, 21 and 14 day unbonding, respectively. But there are no discretionary gates, no discretion at the entity's discretion to do something. There are no discretionary gates. In mXRP, manager may pull risk, gate exits, or reprice the NAV, and you wait. You got to confirm this now for this, but I believe that it is. Operator failure with mXRP, manager slant custodian. With STXRP, staked XRP, no manager, risk is technical in smart contracts, right? With mXRP, your claim depends on legal priority. Your claim in the event of an insolvency. Your claim depends on legal priority. Read for subordination, no rights in underlying or omnibus custody. Understand the differences? We're going to get into a little bit more of that as well. Appreciate you guys checking in. Do me a favor and hit that like button. That'd be really, really cool. Spend a few hours going over this stuff. And trust me, I'm going to go over if you can stomach me rambling, rambling on, trying to get to a point with ChatGPT. I'm going to read it to you because I want you to know, I use a microphone. I'm saying out my thoughts. I'm thinking, I'm asking questions, and it types it all out so you can know where these questions and concerns come from. You can see the whole thing, right? I want you to be able to see the whole thing. I want you to be able to know this is what I did, and I'll leave link to these 1, 2, 3 documents here, and you can do the same thing yourself. Express some concerns if you're willing to read through it. If you're willing to read through the fine print. So I just want you to understand that. So I want to be able to, I don't want to just read what ChatGPT says. I want you to understand where I'm coming from and the question I asked and my thought process as well, if that makes sense. XRP Nick's in the building. What's good, bro? Yo, CJ. The most suppressed YouTuber I've seen, no joke. Yeah, man. It happened when I started talking about what I used to call the beer code. I think now you can say the C word because I was calling out a certain nation. And apparently maybe someone from that certain nation owns some part of YouTube or something. I don't know. Excuse me. XJT says, looks like Midas isn't the answer. Yeah, it's not looking like it. It's not looking like it. Goose is in the building. What's going on, bro? How are you? Says, Goose said, I read the legal disclaimer on the Midas site and checked with Grok. Hope you use the latest version of Grok, bro. In a Chapter 11 event, the XRP providers would be last in line. That is correctamundo. The very, very last, even below unsecured creditors. Also, it looks like they hold in pools and not in a one-to-one custody. So it's feeling like that's what it's feeling like. Everyone's trying to get our XRP, says XRP Nick. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct, the mundo. Sorry, let me go find where I want to start with you guys. Again, just a reminder for people just checking in. This live stream is not going to be about trying to bash or call out Crypto Eddie or Jungle Inc. That's not going to happen. We're going to remove that comment and remove you from the stream. It's not going to happen. They've been big fans of the channel, especially Jungle. So please don't come here with that. The information covered here is from the documents provided publicly from Midas, by Midas, okay? And number three, the redemption thing, they do have this term, legalese term, form of final terms, which may change the redemption thing, I think. I think. I don't think so, but I think it might. It might be a legalese thing. It might be something that they say for legalese purposes, but the actual document does not say the redemption is an XRP. It says cash, cash, cash. So I just want you to know that. The necro canon, the necro canon. I'm not allowing anyone but myself to custom my assets. Why would I trust the same institutions that take from me to hold my assets? That's right. Self custody equals you are your own financial engine. Well, sir, yes, sir. I agree. All right. So let me this Mac, man, this Mac attack sometimes. I change the stream. It's as big as heck. And I didn't want to do that. So let me do this. I mean, it's a big screen right now. Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Let me get to my ChatGPT thing. Let me find it for you. I don't want to share the screen so you guys troubling you with my scrolling. All right, so I got legal and regulatory risk. Let me find out where I first started. Again, you said you can stomach me reading my rambling and thinking out loud with ChatGPT. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you guys. Okay. Yeah, so there it is there. Now let me find it on the okay, perfect. Got it. All right. So let me go read the document to you first. Back to meeting. Share. I'm trying to share. What's going on right now? All right, there it is. One of my concerns right here. Going through the documents. Okay. This is from their documents. Let me know in the comments if you'd like the link. If you want to do your own due diligence and continue on that journey of being a sophisticated investor. All right. So this is what it says here. Legal and regulatory risk. It says here, the issuer is not required, that would be Midas, or authorized under any current securities or authorized under any current securities, comma, commodities, comma, or banking laws of its jurisdiction or incorporation, and will operate without supervision by any authority in any jurisdiction. There is no assurance, however, that regulatory authorities in one or more jurisdictions would not take a contrary view regarding the applicability of any such laws to the issuer. The taking of a contrary view by such regulatory authority could have an adverse impact on the issuer or the holders of the product. This is the mXRP. Okay. Let me go here. Make sure. So what I did, just to let you know. Just so you know. Oh, there's redemption. I think I skipped ahead, but anyway. There it is. All right. So again. All right. So I'm gonna start this over. I shouldn't have read that yet, but anyway, cash redemptions. I said this is how everything whole conversation started right here. Currently, can you find any redemption processes in their terms and descriptions currently with this product? I can't seem to find any. See, it's right here. This is my thing here. I can't seem to find any, like maybe the NAV risk, supposed to be risk with a K. You mentioned the fact that there's a gap eat that the person would take. Are there anything in the terms? Anything in the terms? Can you find anything in reference to that redemption? It says here, short answer, there's some public details on redemption, but it's thin. What's out there strongly implies NAV-based redemption with fees and cash settlement. Now remember, this is just the very, very beginning. We dive deeper and deeper into it. And it does repeat. It repeats that holders have no legal rights in the underlying assets. Again, let me say that again. There's some public detail on redemptions, but it's thin. What's out there strongly implies NAV-based redemptions with fees and cash settlement and repeats that holders have no legal rights in the underlying assets. Here's what I can confirm for you from primary sources right now. Okay, the press release links to Midas, regulatory form. All right, so this is information in the documents. This is from PS Newswire. I didn't want that. This is from MFSA. That's from Midas. This is Newswire. This is docs.midas. Okay, just understand that. So just want to know what we can find today. The press release to Midas legal docs, and it says in the docs to read the prospectus. And that's why I did that. I read the prospectus and investment disclaimer. It's over here. That's right. Talks about token holder redemption date. Cash settlement says yes. Token holder fees are subtracted from the redemption amount. Token holder fees are subtracted from the redemption amount. Okay, just things here. What's not clearly published yet is exact NAV frequency, cutoff times, T plus N settlement, blah, blah, blah. Practical read through. Great, right? So this is what I said. So he says here, bottom line, public docs already indicate NAV-based cash redemptions with fees and no legal rights to the underlying XRP. The fine print, in parentheses, cutoff, comma, gates, comma, T plus time for settlement, needs the specific mXRP prospectus. But the structure you were concerned about is, in essence, confirmed by the available sources. Needs specific mXRP prospectus, but the structure you were concerned about is, in essence, confirmed. I said, so I think this is looking like, for me in my brain, I was thinking, this is looking like 2016, 2017, a little bit in 2018. This looks very, very similar to, in my mind, what we called HYIPs, high yield investment platforms. So what it's looking like to me is, in fact, there is some form of a cash redemption for my XRP. What it looks like to me, again, I'm rambling, very much like high yield investment platforms where you deposited your very valuable asset like Bitcoin and Ethereum for a token representation of that Bitcoin and Ethereum that you deposited. And it would be some 3-letter token, which was a representation of the Bitcoin and Ethereum that you deposited. And so now the platform holder in their wallets, they have the platform holder, like Midas, they have the Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you have the token representation. But what the platform also did was allow for swapping, would allow for a swapping slant trading platform where people could take their representation, which is being put out there now on X, of the Bitcoin and Ethereum, and swap it for Bitcoin and Ethereum. I said so, but the Bitcoin and Ethereum essentially was just other people's Bitcoin and Ethereum being deposited on the platform, right? So they needed to keep having more and more people deposit Bitcoin and Ethereum, et cetera, right? Basically, first in, first out. If you're last in and last out, you're really stuck holding the representation token. So what I'm seeing right now, early days, is, and what you're telling me in reference to what is being published publicly with this cash, especially with this cash settlement, right? So I mentioned the platform Anados Finance, and with the decentralized exchange on XRPL, Anados mentioned that they had partnered with Midas And so for me, there's an alarm bell with those two things, cash settlement minus fees and whatever. So that to me is an alarm that they would even have any kind of cash settlement that's not in kind redemption, but it's cash redemption. That's alarming to me for sure. So not sure if you're familiar with that. I mentioned Brave Rewards, BitConnect, but I'm kind of getting that vibes now. Again, I don't know that these are legal. I know that these are legal entities and you're getting a legal, some type of legal certificate, slant, structured note of some sort. But yeah, there's cash settlement for redemption. And the fact that you have no legal rights to the underlying XRP, that to me just really, really signals alarms for me and massive concerns. What are your thoughts? So your alarm bells are reasonable, says ChatGPT, without accusing anyone of bad intent. The structure you're describing, cash settle certificate, no legal rights to the underlying asset, third-party manager, a DEX market for the wrapper, it's for the wrapper, creates several classic risk patterns that rhymed with 2016 to 2018 high yield era, the high yield investment platform errors, even if this one is wrapped in legal documents. Here's the clean way that you can think about it. Why your concern makes sense. Cash settled redemptions do not equal in-kind custody. If you can't redeem XRP for XRP, you're not exiting by returning the exact assets you brought. You're accepting book value NAV in cash, net of fees and timing, pricing, and solvency risk all sit between you and the underlying asset. So in stress, black swans events, who knows what can happen when the crap hits the fan? Cash settlement lets an issuer delay, gate, or haircut while they unwind strategies or source liquidity. No legal rights to the underlying. No legal rights to the underlying asset equals you're a creditor, not an owner. That line moves you from beneficial owner to claimant on the issuer slant vehicle. If things break, you stand in the creditor queue. The entity still controls the XRP. Secondary market swaps don't fix the redemption risk. They're talking about DEXs. A DEX listing, for example, like on Anados, just gives you a secondary market for the wrapper. In stress, wrappers can trade at a persistent discount to NAV. Buyers demand compensation for redemption uncertainty. Think closed-end fund discount or GBTC's discount pre-ETF. Liquidity mismatch and discretionary strategies equal run risk. Okay. If risk curators run MML, LP credit, liquidity pool credit, the underlying liquidity is not always the same day, daily or slower NAV plus any gates, and cash settlement is a liability that can't always pay instantly, which is where runs and queues appear. There's bridge ops deficiencies. Okay, how is this different from the outright HYIPs? Different real companies, docs, auditors, and a stated strategy does not equal anonymous send coin, get 1% per day. It's still risky. You've created a multi-party dependency chain. Multi-party dependency chain. Issuer, manager, custodian, bridge desk, liquidity, admin. Any weak link can trap the wrapper while the underlying XRP sits somewhere else. Okay? Here's the bottom line. You're not being paranoid. The cash settled, no rights wrapper plus managed strategies plus a DEX listing combo is structurally fragile under stress. It's not the same as a blatant HYIP, but it rhymes with past blowups where holders learned the hard way that yield plus custody transfer can hide run risk. If they want to attract serious XRP holders, they should offer in-kind redemptions. And again, I said in the beginning of the video, they have this thing in there that says form of final terms. So we have to figure it out, see what that is. And does that change anything in terms of in-kind redemptions? All right, so publishing full dealing terms, name the independent admin and custodian, and demonstrate round trip reliability. In other words, you can put it in, you can get it out. Show me proof that that can be done. Until then, treat it as a high complexity, non-ergodic risk and size accordingly. I talked about ergodicity in the book by Luca Delana earlier. All right, so what do we got here? All right, so I said, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. For sure, I would like to be able to pull up on my computer, open a tab to the link of any document that says cash settled, that mention any type of redemption process at all. Can you provide those links? So in my live stream, I can click on those links and we can read over that together on the live stream. In particular, that cash settlement part, because I really want to hone in on whether or not there is a lack of in-kind redemption with this XRP, so that that cash settlement doesn't appear to have in-kind redemption. So as much information that you can give me in the form of links so I can read that over on the live stream would be great. All right, you got it. Here are the direct links. You can open up the stream that mentions redemptions and cash settlement. I've noted exactly what to look for on each page or PDF, which was awesome, right? The base prospectus, which is the one I showed in the beginning, MFSA base prospectus, Midas Software GmbH from July of 2024. This whole entity, right, got started in 2023. Okay, 2023. The section is redemption of blockchain-based certificates, that type of thing here. So what I did is I just opened a link for that, open up a new tab for that one, open up a new tab for that one. I don't know if I did the Midas app one or not. I think I did. Yeah, I did the Midas app one. I haven't read that one yet. Okay, haven't read that one yet. So we can probably go over that together. This live stream is from the first one, and the three things that I found that were a little troubling. This was one of those. Okay, the issuer, legal and regulatory risk, regulation of the issuer by any regulatory authority. Okay. So it gave me some more stuff here. Redemption here. So I took this redemption part, which is not that where I showed you this. It's a different part. And redemption, I think it's on page, let's go here. I think it starts page 26 or 27. So 27 in here. Here it is right there, right? See, it's redemption. Okay. So I copied this and I put it in ChatGPT, right? From their page, from their document, put in ChatGPT. This is what this is here. ChatGPT, ChatGPT. Put it in there. All right. And so let's see. Did I ask a question here? I said, is this what you are referring to in terms of the cash settlement? Because I wanted to know where are you getting the cash settlement thing. I said, is this what you are referring to in terms of cash settlement, or am I not understanding this correctly in the redemption? He says, ChatGPT, you're reading it correctly. From that section, redemption currency equals stablecoins or USD. It says the redemption amount is paid in stablecoins to a wallet you provide or in US dollar to a bank account you provide, as specified here in the final terms or at your request if multiple options are offered. So that is what I meant by cash settlement. You don't get XRP back, you get cash equivalents, stablecoins or fiat USD. So this form of final terms, is there somewhere in some documents that says in-kind redemption? I have not found it yet. ChatGPT says, from reading the documents, no in-kind XRP is described here. The clause you pasted outlines stablecoin or USD payouts only, unless a specified mXRP final terms document explicitly adds an in-kind XRP option, the default reading is cash settled, not in kind. Again, I haven't found the final terms, mXRP final terms. I haven't found that. Just wanted to let you know. Let me welcome some more people into the stream. I appreciate you guys being here. Do me a favor, hit that like button. That'd be super, super cool. What's going on, Finn? My guy Finn is in the building. What's up, bro? All right, some more people checked in. Lizard King checked in the building. What's going on, bro? How are you, my friend? Danilo says, yeah, post the links, please. I will definitely post them. Remind me again during the live stream, brother. That's a red flag. Mix Mick checked in. What's going on, brother? How are you? Self custody is a plus, indeed. Necro Cannon says basically taking your assets and giving you the depreciating cash. This was kind of sound like, unless there's some mXRP final terms agreement. Yeah, I'll pass. I want my assets. Yep, that's what I was thinking. Stephen Williams says Midas and Axelar are waiting to say they have been hacked while stealing your crypto. That happens a lot in DeFi, especially early days. There was some unexpected hack. And they say they apologize, or they just close shop and they're out. Pookie's in the building. What's going on, fam? How are you? Flair Espanol, ¿qué pasó? What's good? Que bueno, brother. How are you? I should say, que bueno, hombre. What's good? Flair Espanol checked in. One of the grantees from Flair. Appreciate you being here, sir. Gerald Jakes. Gerald Jelks is in the building. Listen in. Be careful on the roads if you're traveling, bro. Kevin Land. What's up, my guy? What's up? Thanks for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you. It's been a minute, my guy. It's been a minute. Rick Cisneros says, CJ, the bottom line here is people are grown adults and they're going to have to decide for themselves. If you can stomach the risk, who am I to judge you? Good luck. Yeah, good luck. That's right. That's right. It's no judgment here. I'm just pointing out the facts. I'm just pointing out the facts. Rafael Demora, you're going to have to decide for yourself. For me, this is not a great thing. Rafael Demora says, is this a good or bad thing? You're going to have to decide for yourself. For me, this is not great. T Valhall says, cold wallets, people, please, cold wallets. It's Necro Cannon like Necromancer. Okay, nice. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Stephen Williams says, if not compliant in the UK or the USA, avoid. Apologies are not enough or accepted here. I think it was a UK thing, but not a Germany thing. Like it felt like they were UK, just like kind of Celsius did the UK thing because they had to, but not, it wasn't German kind of Germany thing. So it seems like the same thing to me. You said, I didn't know that you speak Spanish. Yeah, muy poco, my friend. Muy poco. Occult lecturer pronounced necro. What? Pronounced necro? Oh, is it really? So it's necro canon? Necro canon? Welcome to the stream, my friend. Tu no hablas muchos español, mi hermano. My Miss Crypto Seas is Man, I'm telling you, that short period of time, she is killing the game in Espanol, killing the game. She's European, so she's able to roll the R's and that kind of stuff. I'm hesitant. I'm harking back to my junior high school days when I learned Spanish in junior high school. That's what I'm going back to. So that's decades, uh, decades there. So, okay, so we got that, right? Midas equals EU. Yeah, that's a big kind of an alarm for me as well, right? Goose, Midas kind of out of EU. I got my thoughts on the whole, all of a sudden, this Midas thing is paranoid. I have my thoughts on it. I'm going to share those in the end because I feel like this. Anyway, go on with the chat GPT stuff. All right. So yeah, I read that. All right. So as specified in the final terms or at your request, if multiple options offered. This is what I meant by cash settlement. You don't get XRP back. You get cash equivalents, stablecoins, or fiat dollars. No in-kind is described here. It says, unless a specific final terms document explicitly adds an in-kind option. Okay, so I haven't seen it. If it's out there, let me know. I haven't seen it. The default reading is cash settled, not in kind. All right. All right. Operational details and frictions baked in. Operational details and frictions baked in. You must submit a token holder order request form or transfer the token to the specified redemption wallet. You must be greenlisted, i.e., pass their KYC eligibility for the payout clock to start. Timeline within 10 business days after they receive your request. Invoice fees and costs. Bank transfer costs are on you. If the issuer incurs costs, they are offset against the redemption amount. Against the redemption amount. Liability. They place responsibility on you to provide a compatible wallet and correct banking details. Issuer discretion exists. This is an important one. Is this talking about the solvency? Maybe it doesn't. It even mentions the issuer call option, which issuer can initiate redemption, reinforcing that this is an issuer administered process, not a code only in-kind exit like STXRP. All right, so I said this part here. I said, okay, perfect. That's great. That's awesome. I love it. I said, okay, I'm not sure if you can or say or speak to what other people are thinking or would be thinking. I'm reading my thing here. Again, sharing everything where I'm coming from. But I would venture to bet that most XRP holders that are looking at the interest or yield or professionally managed that they could receive, that they are looking at these professional managers are going to manage my XRP for me and generate yield on an XRP, are thinking to themselves, awesome, all this yield, all this managed stuff for me. But in the end, when I redeem, I am respecting XRP plus the yield on that XRP, whatever that looks like. Right? But they are expecting XRP back. They are not expecting dollars slant stablecoins back. Do you think that's a fair assumption? ChatGPT says, yeah, that's a very fair assumption to expect many holders. That's a very fair assumption to expect many holders are making. And it's exactly where the expectation slant reality gap sits. Most XRP holders who hear professional managers generating yield on my XRP will intuitively think, I'll get my XRP back, right, in kind plus yield. They'll think this other thing, and it's been saying it. It's already been happening on X. Oh, this is like staking. It's just better. It's just juice. Juice is professional managers. This is what's been saying on X. This is like staking. Just juice is best, just best. It's professional managers. People are not going to want to manage the stuff on their own self or by themselves to get yield. This is awesome. This is that kind of talk is going on in X. ChatGPT goes on to say, but the actual terms you found say the opposite. Redemptions are paid in stablecoins or US dollar, not in kind XRP. There's a request form, green list up to 10 business days, payout. Fees can be deducted from the redemption amount. Holders have no legal rights to the underlying assets. So you're a claimant, not a beneficial owner of the XRP. In the event of some solvency, some black swan event, a bankruptcy. And in the end, you got to think about it. You're going out of this quote unquote level playing field in crypto, and you're moving into the unlevel playing field of TradFi, traditional finance. That's what you're doing. So yes, your read that many people will expect XRP back is reasonable. And it's precisely why you need to highlight this on the stream. Okay. Okay. All right. So just again, back and forth. All right. I'm doing some due diligence on who this Dennis uh what is his name? Dennis Klaus Dinkelmeyer. I'm doing some homework on him. Dennis Klaus, Klaus Dinkelmeyer. I'm doing some due diligence on him and Mr. Fabrice Grinder because I have a suspecting feeling about something about that. But anyway, so anyway, that's just my thoughts. All right, all right. So this is another part here of the documents. It's called ranking of the products. Ranking of the products in the event of insolvency. So I copied that from here, okay, and I put it in ChatGPT, okay. Let's see. I says, here's my question. What exactly does this mean? I'm assuming that the token holder is the person holding mXRP. What exactly does this mean? Does this signal for you some type of red flag? All right, so ranking the products. Let me see if I can find it exactly where I found that. I'm on 27. Ranking of the product. Let me see if that's back in the beginning. Yeah, I think it is. All right. I'll find it here for you so you can know that I just copied and pasted right here. Ranking of the products in the event of insolvency. Okay? Right there. The claims of the token holders, that's the people who hold mXRP against Midas, are qualified subordinated. The assertion of the claims is excluded for as long as and to the extent that payment of the claims would give rise to the opening of insolvency proceedings against the assets of Midas. Okay, so I copied the whole thing, put it in ChatGPT, right? And you heard my question. What exactly does this mean? It's legalese. I'm assuming that the token holder is the person holding the mXRP token. What exactly does it mean? Does this signal for you some type of red flag? This is what it said. You're reading it right. Token holder equals the person holding mXRP. What you pasted is classic insolvency language that puts mXRP holders behind other creditors and warns that even the quote unquote security, which is a lien over a collateral account, may not protect you or may be slow or expensive to enforce. Here's what each part means. Okay. Again, do it together. What the clauses mean. Qualified subordinate claims, ranking. Your claim on Midas is subordinated. It's junior to other debts. In a bankruptcy waterfall, you get paid after senior and often unsecured creditors. This is bankruptcy, insolvency. It won't be enough to pay everyone. Usually, the assertion of claims is excluded if payment would cause insolvency. So I want you to understand this, okay? The assertion of the claim is excluded if payment would cause insolvency. that phrase equals. If paying you would tip Midas into bankruptcy, they don't have to pay you. This is a loss observing feature, which is bad for you, good for the issuer's solvency metrics. Trying to do a redemption and be like, if we do this redemption, the amount of redemptions we got, that might just take us to the edge of being solvent into insolvency. We're going to hold off on that one. That's what that says to me. Security. A lien on a collateral account may be unenforceable delay. There might be a lien over a collateral account, but the doc warns it may be legally hard to enforce. It could be contested, changed with legislation, or simply take a long time. Translation, don't assume there's collateral, so I'm safe. You may not be able to quickly or fully realize it. Security agent's power, which is an interesting one to me, and cost. A security agent acts for token holders. In an enforcement, they can take actions without regard to individual token holders' preferences, the token holders' preferences. They don't owe you bespoke consideration. They do not owe you bespoke consideration. All fees and costs, expenses for enforcement must be funded up front, and they deducted and are deducted from what token holders get. Again, this is probably insolvency stuff. Translation, even if recovery happens, your payout is reduced, by legal admin costs, and you wait while the agents work. Right. Why this is a red flag for retail holders' perspective, from a retail holder's perspective, okay? You're not senior, you're explicitly junior, and your claim can be turned off if it endangers the issuer's solvency, okay? It's a big one. It's a very, 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 very big one. You're not senior, you're explicitly junior, and your claim can be turned off if it endangers the issuer's solvency. Okay. And then they may be talking about in Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, they may be talking about if it gets to that. But ultimately, you're at the bottom of the food chain. And I always say this, when crap hits the fan, and it always can, where do you sit? So, all right, you're not senior. Security may not save you. The doc itself says the security might be unenforceable or delayed. That's essentially the product telling you collateral might not help in time. The process risk plus the bleed. Recoveries require lawyers, administrators, and time. Costs come out of your pocket. That's Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The lawyers win. The issuer win. The retail depositors lose big time. Economic reality. You hold a claim on Midas, not direct rights to XRP. In stress, the estate controls the XRP. Your queue with other creditors for a cash recovery after costs, not an in-kind XRP return. It's a big deal. This is the one I started the stream with. I was supposed to show this last. The legal and regulatory risk. Let me welcome some more people to the stream before we go over that one. Yes, you said it correctly. Yeah, I'm looking for that Flab Espanol says looking forward to the collab. Will be an interesting one. Yeah, it'll be fun, bro. It'll be a nice hangout for sure, bro. It'll just be a fun hangout for sure. That's what we do. And by the way, I've only had from the XRP community, I've only had King Solomon, Mickey B. Fresh, and an OG guy from England. I think it was from England. I forget his name now. But that's it. Who is it? Let me know so I can get my money far. This is the mXRP thing. A cult lecturer. A cult lecturer says, "Who is this? Let me know so I can get my money far away from them. Yeah, this is the new mXRP thing um, that's going around in the community. Okay. And the first thing I said on my live stream yesterday is, who is Midas? Who are they? The same thing I said about Doppler Finance and Strobe Finance that came into the scene. No one knew who they were. And all of a sudden, they're trying to tap into the massive community and the massive liquidity of XRP. They have not been here from day one in the grind, through the bulls, through the ups and the downs, like Flare Networks has. And of course, like Ripple has, but All right. Mix says, oh, so I can stake my XRP. Nope, that's not staking, bro. That's selling your XRP for a representation of your XRP, which is mXRP, which is some kind of certificate. It's not great. It's not a great deal. Miguel Castillo, what's good, brother? How are you? No way will I stake my XRP until time has passed. And see, this is not staking. That's the one thing that people are confusing this mXRP line with. It is not a form of staking. It's not a form of staking. You are selling your XRP. You're selling it. They're giving you a representation, and there's a hoodwink and bamboozle behind. We're going to get you some yield on that mXRP that is going to be tradable in some markets, and you can do something with this mXRP. But it is not staking. Not, 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 not. You're ridding yourself of your XRP and you're getting a representation of some XRP. It's not locked on the XRPL. It's not staking. Kimberlite, what's up, Kimberlite? How are you, miss? Welcome to the stream. Thanks so much for your research. You're welcome. You're welcome. What's up with Doppler Finance? Not sure, not much. Too many intermediaries in there for me and my XRP. A cult lecturer says, I was thinking it was Gemini because they have the cash back card. Nope, it's not Gemini. Nicholas M is in the building. What's going on, Nicholas? Hey, buddy, long time no see. Yes, sir. How you been, bro? Necro man. I'm not selling my XRP. Indeed. Right? It's different than what Firelight is offering on Flow Networks. It's a different thing. It's completely different. When you mint XRP to FXRP, it's a one-to-one representation of your XRP. The XRP is locked on the XRPL. You take it over to Firelight, you're staking the FXRP. Staking. Okay? And you can just stake and you can be cool staking. That's completely non-custodial process, non-custody. Okay. If you want to do something with the STXRP, in addition to getting staking rewards for helping in this economically secure services space, if you want to do more things with the STXRP, you can go do that in Flare DeFi and earn yield on yield. mXRP is not that. You are essentially, if I was talking to my dudes, I'm like, bro, you got your XRP, you are in crypto, and it's about a level as a playing field as you can get. You can buy viable assets without having to be an accredited investor. You don't have to interview for a loan on your assets. You are in about as level as a level playing field as you possibly can get. So now you're going to take that and you're going to go back into the system that is rigged against you. Give up your valuable asset, XRP, for some mXRP representation, which now subjects you to their rigged system. It's rigged in their favor. Doesn't mean that people are Midas are nefarious. Doesn't mean that the people from Hyper Rhythm are nefarious. What I'm saying is that world exists and benefits them, not you. You take on all the risk, and they make sure legally that it is that way. They can kick rocks and not get my assets. Yes, sir. I hear you. That's right. You get lead in return for your XRP. That's right. I'm going to share my ultimate thoughts on what has happened to a few people in the community, and it is classic in business, classic in the business world. This is what I believe has happened to a few. All right, let's see here. No, that's not what Flair is doing, bro. I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. Is that Miguel? Is that what Flair is doing? Just which part is that? So I will say this: MXRP is nothing like what Flair is doing. Nothing. That Midas stuff is nothing to do. It's nothing like. I mean, zero like anything that Flair is doing. That's all good. Mix. It's all good. Stephen Williams says, retail buyers beware. Mr. Dennis Dinkelmeyer, CEO and co-founder of Midas, should be blacklisted. You're kind of you're going where I said I was going to save to the end that I had this feeling about. But what do you mean by that? He should be blacklisted, and why do you say that? You care to share why you say that, Stephen Williams? Nicholas M says, not bad. Been exploring that Evernote rabbit hole. I hear you, bro. My guy Mickey B. Fresh said that Evernote technology was next level. I-man's in the building. What's going on, bro? How are you? D in decentralization is the main concept that people keep forgetting. Yes, sir. 100%. mXRP is related to FDS and Celsius. Exactly. mXRP is related to FTX and Celsius. Exactly, says I-man. Why do you say that, I-man? Is related to FX and Celsius. Exactly. I wonder what mXRP is going to end up doing with EBR. I don't know what you mean by that. What it's going to end up doing. I wouldn't touch, personally, would not touch mXRP with, you know how I used to say that? I wouldn't do this with your thing. Like, I would not touch mXRP with your XRP. Personally, would not do it. In its current form, mm-mm. Oh, because they hold the assets. Got it. Yep. Yeah. It's too many third parties, right? So, all right. So now I welcome some new people to the stream. Appreciate you guys checking in. Let's continue on here. Again, out of the document, legal and regulatory risk. Regulation of the issuer by any regulatory authority. The issuer is not required to be licensed or authorized in any current securities, commodities, or banking. That is in the document. All right. Let's see if I can find it. 20. Was that in the beginning? I thought that was more in the beginning. Substitution of the issuer. Yeah. The issuer does not ever have custody, possession, or control of the token holder's digital assets anytime. The token holders are solely responsible for the custody of the cryptographic private keys. What? All right, let me find this thing here. It's page 30. This was an alarm thing right here. Okay, so it's right here. Legal and regulatory risk. It's right here. Okay. I just copied it. Just put it in there. Okay. All right. So go here. Here it is right here. Let me read it. Regulation of the issuer by any regulatory authority. The issuer is not required to be licensed, or this is the biggest part to me, or authorized under any current securities, commodities, or banking laws of its jurisdiction or incorporation, and will operate without supervision by any authority in any jurisdiction. There is no assurance, however, that regulatory authorities in one or more jurisdictions would not take a contrary view regarding the applicability of any such laws to the issuer. The taking of a contrary view by such regulatory authority could have an adverse impact on the issuer or the holders of the products. This is what happened to Celsius. That's why they did the UK, the US, UK, other stuff. All right, I said this to me seems to be exactly how Celsius Network and Alice Machinery were operating until the SEC began to crack down on them. What are your thoughts about this regulatory risk here? He says, your read is fair. That clause is a big regulatory red flag for a retail holder. Okay? What the clause really says in plain English. Not required to be licensed and will operate without supervision, which means the issuer isn't a regulated fund or asset manager or custodian or bank in its home jurisdiction and isn't under day-to-day oversight anywhere. Authorities could take a contrary view means a regulator can later, just like what it did with Celsius, it was a later thing, wasn't in the beginning. It let Celsius acquire hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin before they stepped in to do something. But they did step in and do something. So authorities could take a contrary view. A regulator can later decide it is an offering of a security, this mXRP, slant managed product, slant custody service without authorization. This is why they have in that clause there. They're saying that they don't have custody of the assets. It's going to be some other custodian. All right, without authorization. Adverse impact on the issuer or holders. If that happens, you can feel it. Freezes, forced changes, fines, or shutdown. Why that matters? Celsius was not licensed for interest-bearing deposit products and marketed them broadly. When the United States regulator deemed them unregistered securities slant custody products, consequences followed. Account freezes, insolvency, long bankruptcy, haircut recoveries. Your quoted language echoes the same structural risk. If a regulator says this is an unregistered security, collective investment, custody business, the issuer may have to suspend redemptions, geo-block, register, or wind down. And all of that happens on their timeline, not yours. This is why I said, Pookie Pookie, the retail person is taking on all the risk. Do not think that it is coincidental that this is operating outside of the US. Concrete ways this can hit token holders. Redemptions paused or gated during reviews or enforcement. Asset transfers restricted. KYC, tightening jurisdictions. Mandatory changes, new terms, higher fees, forced migrations, fines, penalties, legal costs paid by the issuer reduce the runway. Indirectly, your recovery if things go south. Bank and fiat rails are cut. Cash settled products can't settle smoothly. Worst case, court-ordered wind down. Because, regulators take their time to get into a thing. They take their time. They let Celsius run and operate for years to the tune of hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. Never mind all the other assets that they had. Do you think the person that I mentioned on the live stream yesterday, who at today's value has had $51 million in Bitcoin, is saying to themselves, to their wives, to their children, well, at least Alex is in jail now? Do you think that's what they're saying? Do you think that's the rationale? You think they're just, oh, cool. At least Alex is in jail? Or are they feeling a heartache and despair of having trusted a third party and lost everything? Generational wealth, $51 million in just Bitcoin. I don't know about I didn't even look at the other assets he had on there. He had like 6 to 8 other assets. All right, so worst case, court-ordered wind down. Holders become creditors in a slow process. And you already saw the subordination language. Yep, last in line. Why this risk is worse for cash-settled custodial notes. Okay, remember we covered that there might be some final terms, mXRP thing. It's not made available in these public documents. The public documents say cash settled, US dollar bank account or stablecoins. And what do they have? XRP. All right, so regulatory, why this is worst case for cash settled custodial notes. Regulatory classification is more likely managed strategies plus cash settlement plus no rights to the underlying asset. Legally, no rights. Jurisdictional exposure is bigger. Stablecoins slant US dollar rails, custodians and managers, oracles and bridges across borders. Each adds regulatory choke points. It says here what prudent holders should demand before allocating. And unfortunately, they didn't read any of the stuff. They didn't read it. They got sold on APY. They got sold on professionally managed. And they just ran and jumped to that thing. Just ran and jumped. Let's see here. I said here, so do you agree that these things that I just found, these 3 or 4 things, should be very concerning for XRP holders, for the XRP holder who's possibly looking into depositing and or, give away their XRP for this mXRP? Do you agree that these things that I just found should be very concerning for these people? ChatGPT. Absolutely. I agree these points are serious red flags for any XRP holder considering mXRP. Redemptions are cash settled, not in-kind XRP. Holders have qualified subordinated claims and insolvency. You're a junior creditor, not an owner of the XRP. I don't even know why I have to continue going on here. Issuers operate without regulatory supervision. I was telling Miss Crypto Siege, what has happened to a few people, it's a handful of people. What has happened is very, very similar to what happened to me when I was an ambassador for Celsius. And I was all over the idea of lending my Bitcoin and being able to borrow against it, lending my XRP and being able to borrow against it, depositing Cardano and Matic and Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Cash and what are all those things. Man, getting some yield on this is crazy. This is what? I was all on. What are you talking about, bro? I would get this, not your keys, not your crypto. I would get this yield's not sustainable, right? In the comments in my videos, right? I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And all I could see is this dude had 3 billion, three separate unicorn businesses. Three. Celsius was the fourth. I was saying to myself, what are you talking about? This dude is on camera on the New York Stock Exchange. He's got his family, his wife, and children in videos. What do you mean he's going to run off with the money? What are you talking about, bro? The dude is already a billionaire, right? This is what I'm saying to myself, and I'm reading these comments on my streams. I'm like, what are these people? What are you talking about? He's going to risk it all for a sell token. This is what I'm thinking in my brain. He's going to risk this. He's got a family with children. He's going to risk reputation and hundreds of millions of dollars liquid with this Celsius thing. No way, bro. No, that's what I was thinking in my head. And market stress caused the demise. What was the market stress? A couple of things that people didn't factor. One, someone found out that Celsius made a bet in a DeFi spot and lost the spot, which made them in the hole, which made them had to really ramp up marketing and really ramp up trying to get stuff because they made a DeFi bet and they lost, which part of the Luna thing. Part. They caught some, but it was still significant enough. Unlike Rand Nooner, who lost hundreds of millions of dollars in the Luna thing. I think it said 100 million. If it wasn't 200 million, I forget. Rand Nooner, a dude, just a dude with the YouTube channel. It was $100 or $200 million gone. This is what happens in the real world with Celsius. Competitors, jealousy, people, the short sellers, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. They find out you're in the hole. They find out you're treading water, and they will look to destroy you for their gain. And then what happened? We're fighting off that attack and trying to recover. The dude kept breaking the law. Do one thing, break the law. Do another thing, break the law. Do another thing, break the law. Do another thing, doing all this stuff that he was not supposed to be doing because of market stress. And he thought he could make up for his mistake. He's the CEO. Doesn't matter if someone else is in charge of DeFi. He thought he can make it up. You can't break the law. You just can't. You can't commingle the funds. You just can't. You can't rationalize that you're trying to make up for people's money, trying to get it back. You can't break the law. It was market forces, for the most part, that caused that demise. There were other things. This is why I said, and I posted in my X today, when crap hits the fan, don't know what the crap is going to be. You don't know what that crap is going to be. That's the challenge. The challenge is that you don't know what the crap can be. And you take on all the risk. Chapter 11, this is what Chapter 11 is. This is what it's called in that world. It's called Chapter 11 protection. Who is it protecting? Midas, the custodian, whoever the custodian is, Hyper Rhythm, whoever they are. It does not protect you, the depositor of your asset, because you willingly gave up control of the asset. That's what the judge said in the Celsius thing. That's what the judge said. You willingly gave up your asset. Every time you logged in, there was a thing, not every time, but there were times when you logged in, you agreed to some long terms and agreement thing. You agreed. And there were 2 or 3 of those that came up that kept changing the rule around who owned the asset. They don't even have to do it here. It's already saying you have no claim on the underlying asset. Issuers operate without regulatory supervision, and regulators can take a contrary view at any time. And I'm going to give you my opinion on this whole thing here later. Those 3 together equal meaningful custody, redemption, and legal priority risk. Those 3 together equal meaningful custody, redemption, and legal priority risk. You take on all the risk. And the hoodwink and bamboozle. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Because this thing's got messed up. Nope. All right, let's do that. Oh, there it is. I think that might work. Let's go here. The page crashed? What the fuck? It said my live stream crashed. I hope I wasn't talking all the time and you guys were not here. Was I talking that whole time and you guys were not here? I hope not. Right? So you take on all the risk. Do you understand? Let me see this. Let me share this again. Share the screen. This isn't so important. And this is not about a content creator. Okay. I said it in the beginning of the stream, and you guys have been so cool in not doing that. This will not be about bashing or calling out content creators. Well, 2 content creators, Crypto Eddie and Jungle Lee. It's not be about that. Okay. So let me share this. Redemptions, holders, issues, issuer operates without. That's a big one. Issuer operates without regulatory supervision. Like, I should stop right there. I'm just like, what are we talking about here? Those 3 together equal meaningful custody and redemption and legal priority risk. You, the holder, take on all of the risk, and they are protected. Okay, they are protected. All right. So Rachel W says, we see and hear you. Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Oh, okay. I got you. All right. All right. Let me see what's going on here. Let's catch up on some of the comments here. Nicholas M. mXRP is first gen. It's going to be, yeah, it's more than super risky, man. It's more than super risky. I-Man says King Solomon wants to do a Flair interview. Would love to see that. With who? Who does King Solomon want to do a Flair interview with? You talking about the people at Flair? AU says, hey, what are we talking about here? it's probably best that you don't know. Well, maybe no. mXRP, man, this new thing with Midas that's being that's out there in the community. Stephen Williams says if not compliant with the UK or United States law and stacking the deck against a retail investor, Dinkelmeyer should be blacklisted. Gotcha. I agree. I just read it to you, guys. It's just not a great look. It's just not a great look. We're taking on all the risk. I'm going to share my final thoughts with you guys here in a second. Rachel W says, I'm glad you are bringing this to people's attention. Thank you, Rachel. It's a typical hoodwink and bamboozle. It really, really is. That's why I'm kind of doing my research on uh this Dinkelmeyer dude, because I suspect that there's something there. Usually when there's smoke, there's fire. I suspect. I don't care, you know, that he used to previously work. That doesn't mean crap. Well, I used to work at Goldman, so okay. Alex Mashinsky was a three-time unicorn billionaire. What does working at Goldman's mean? All right, so I'm glad you're bringing this to people's attention. Peter Summers, do Coinbase learn and earns and send it around? Is that a question or a statement, bro? Soon. Zed, what's going on, bro? Where are you checking it from? All I can tell you is soon. I think the last audit is hours from completion. The audit competition from Code for Arena is hours away from completing. Iman says, I was saying the exact same thing about Alex. I mean, totally thinking the same way you did. Yep. You had the same thought, right? The same thing. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? The dude, the, the dude's got three unicorns and Celsius was his first. I mean, his fourth. Four unicorns? What do you mean he's going to run away? What is he running away from? What do you mean? What do you mean? Yield's not sustaining. What do you mean this, but all this stuff? And I'm thinking, why would you risk your reputation of three unicorn $1 billion exits to do something nefarious over at Celsius? Why would you do that? You had your kids and your family on these live streams. Why would you? There's no way. That doesn't make any sense. And yet, it happened. Because market forces is a thing in business. The change of a law could bankrupt an entire industry with just a change of a law that some person wants the law to be changed to favor their industry. That happens all the time. All right, so I'm gonna give you my final thoughts here. Scott Melker lost Bitcoin too. Yeah, he lost some, I think, with Celsius and the other one with the V. I forget the name of it. Peter Summers says the Tron guy does not instill trust in me either. I've never been a fan of that guy. I don't know. It feels off to me. What's his name anyway? I forget his name. Kimberly says cold blooded, indeed. Almost sounds like the pig butcher scam you can add but never withdraw. Yeah, it's not great. It's just not great. Peter Summers says missed it all. LOL. uh, oh, King Solomon with Hugo. Yeah, that would be great if he can get on there and do that. He should for sure. T. Valhalla says Cole Wallace. Get your Cole Wallace. Oh yeah, Justin's son. Justin's son. So let me give you my kind of final takes on how this whole thing came about. In my opinion, in my view, don't know. Um, guys, do me a favor and hit that like button. That'd be awesome if you could do that. I just wanted to kind of share from legal documents. Let me put this in here right now for you guys. This is the one that I've gone through. I haven't gone through the others. forms of final terms, here's that is. So I guess we can look at that and see what that's about. I haven't looked through this one yet. I have not looked through this one yet. I will look through it later today or maybe tomorrow. It's another one. That's the same thing, isn't it? I haven't gone through that one yet. What is this? Terms and conditions. I haven't gone through this one yet. Okay, I've only gone through the first one. But you can feel free to go through these yourselves and come to your own conclusion. But based on what I've gone through just with the first couple of, I'm not, no chances with my XRP. Okay. So let me share. There's the links for you guys to do your homework, do your due diligence, continue on the journey to become being a sophisticated investor. And you guys can check that out. All right. So I'll tell you what I think happened. I just have a feeling, and I don't know, that someone reached out to a few people. I don't know how they ended up in. You're welcome. You're welcome, man. I don't know how they ended up at XRPL Korea. I have no idea. I don't know if you need a blessing. I don't know if um, what the process is to get there and present. I don't know what it is. Like I don't know. I don't know, but I'm sticking to what I said in yesterday's live stream for one, that this feels like a desperate attempt to get metrics for the XRPL. That's what it seems like to me. A desperate attempt to put some metrics. I've already seen posting of metrics on X already. Already seen it. And I think it's just a desperate attempt to get some kind of numbers to the XRPL. And here's what I'll say to that. Why not wait to see if Ripple X Dev is going to follow through with what they said about putting some light form of programmability on the XRPL? Why not wait for that? Why rush to market? This entity has only been around since 2023. Why rush to market to get this thing out there? Which, again, I'll say this. I think that someone reached out to a few people in the community and convinced them that this would be a good thing for the XRPL, which means it could be a good thing for XRP holders. And I don't think, but I don't know. I don't think that those people went through the documents that I went through. So I don't know what the relationship is between Axelar and Pierces and Axelar and Ripple and what that arrangement is. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it feels like to me this was a rush to put metrics on the XRPL. That's what it feels like to me without doing their homework on the people and this product and what it truly, truly is. Someone was sold on metrics and on APY and hopping on the XRPL. Just here's what I'll say. There are professionals out there. There are professionals out there trained in the art of leveraging your vulnerabilities, leveraging your weaknesses, and trying to capitalize on that. Your emotional vulnerabilities, your financial vulnerabilities. And you can't tell me that builders in this community are desperate for TVL and desperate for real projects with real use cases And someone on the outside saw that, in my view, and tried to leverage that and take advantage of that. That's what it feels like to me. Don't forget what I read to you. Don't forget what I went over. They are operating without any kind of legal, if you will, clarity. I read it to you with no oversight. And listen, I just want you to understand this. 2016, 2017, I was participating. I came into crypto this way. They call them high yield investment platforms, HYIPs. Okay. This was the sleight of hand, the hoodwink. These people who knew how to build a site, they knew how to build these sites. They knew that if we sold the community on APY and APR, they will give up the valuable asset for some representation of that asset because of the APRs and the APYs. They knew it. These people who built the platforms knew it. And the people who built the platforms had their own Bitcoin wallets and their own Ethereum wallets. And they took your Bitcoin and they gave you some representation of it in the form of some token name. That's what happened. And when they had enough of that, they got all your Bitcoin, they got all your Ethereum, they made a little avenue for to trade amongst ourselves. They got your Bitcoin, and the more and they get other people's Bitcoin in. Oh yeah, you can trade in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got our tens of millions and our 50 million and our 100 million. Let them fight amongst the scraps until there's none left, and then we're out. See you later. Time after time after time after time after time after time, that happened. The valuable asset was the Bitcoin and Ethereum. I ask you, is your XRP a valuable asset or not? The professionals that are out there will make it seem as though it's similar to this other thing. It's just like STXRP. It's just like staking. Now they're throwing in professional managers. And is Midas a real entity? I don't know. Is Hyperrhythm a real entity? Probably. But what does it matter? Again, you're taking the valuable asset and trading it for something, an inferior asset. You're selling it to get this representation. You're selling the valuable asset. And what these people do professionally is operate outside of the US, conjuring up and thinking of the next hoodwink and bamboozle that they can pull on the American people. I have been, and I told you, I, I was dealing with a person in the States. He was in the States. People going to his crib, hanging out with them, and something bad happened. I don't think he intentionally did bad stuff. But what he did was he was made aware of the fact that he was breaking laws because he was trying to fill this hole. He was made aware of it and he continued to do so. You can't do that. So the vibe that I'm getting is it's very BitConnect. It's very brave rewards. It's very I'm getting those kind of vibes. What's the other one? Something tech. can't remember the name of it. USA, Tech, USI Tech. I'm getting the vibes. And obviously it's not exactly like it, but I'm getting those vibes. Peter Summers says that's a lot of reading, and people do not read those disclaimers. 1000%. But I'm telling you, there are people that are professionals. They'll get you in front of you and they'll sell you on something because they know the vulnerabilities, they know the weakness. And that's what it feels like to me. That's what it feels like to me. And so um, I don't know who this person, CEO, is. I don't know. I don't know who the other guy is. I don't know. Right? I'm telling you how it feels to me. And what I'm saying to you is you already hold the valuable asset. Dealing with this mXRP is relinquishing ownership of that asset. It is not like Firelight and STXRP. It is not like FXRP. It is nothing like it. But they want to sell you on that it's like that. And I don't care if there's professional managers or real deal or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. Now that feels like the stream crashed again, too. What is wrong with this? If you can't hold it, you don't own it. The XRP, the FXRP, the STXRP is fully non-custodial. B says, nah, those boys from Midas are sketchy indeed. So that's my sense and feel for it. And I don't know the relationship with Axelar and Midas. I don't know the relationship with Midas, and I don't know the relationship with the content creators. I don't know what that relationship is. But what I do know is there are professionals out there that can sell you on a thing and look to leverage and take advantage of vulnerabilities. I see these metrics and I think no one bothered to ask who is Midas, who runs Midas, who are the professional managers, tell me about their due diligence and their history. How many times have they showed up to the XRP community? Why are others talking about them instead of them talking about themselves? Why aren't they doing spaces? Why don't they have a YouTube channel? Why aren't they on Telegram? Why aren't they on a Discord? Why aren't they talking about the products that they offer? From what I've read, you don't have custody. You relinquish custody. You give up your custody. It's oddly suspicious to me that these people are out of the EU. Oddly suspicious. And I don't know how long many of you have been around. I don't know. But think about BitConnect and those people. How many of them actually went to jail, um, forfeited the millions or tens of millions of dollars that they made? And I'm talking about not the promoters, the founders, not the promoters. The promoters were the low-hanging fruit, not the promoters. The people who created BitConnect, who created USI Tech, who created Brave Rewards, all scams. How many of those people went to jail, paid that money back, did some time? I don't recall one because they know how the US operates, especially back in 2016, 2017. Now, supposedly, the US is going to operate in a different manner now, supposedly. Talking about if you try to harm us, crypto, US crypto investors were coming after you. They're saying that. That doesn't mean you're going to get your assets back. 3 hours, 3 arrows capital as well. Yeah. Kimberly says, yeah, Metallica is the same. They gave a representation token for lending your XRP. I tested it with two. It cost me half an XRP to remove. To remove a half an XRP from their custody. Never again. Wow. All right. So Control Finance was licensed in the UK also. So yeah. So I'm telling you, this is what it feels like to me, fam. This is what it feels like. And so I'm sharing it because my number one concern is the XRP holder, not some metric on a blockchain. Do I want the XRPL to go up and to the right of the network adoption curve? Of course. Of course I do. But not to the detriment of the XRP holder. How does that make sense? And again, just understand this whole video was from documentation, not something I'm thinking, not something. The only thing that I'm feeling and thinking is what I share here at the end. It just has that feel to me. It has that feel of a couple people, a group of people seeking to take advantage of the weakness of the community right now that is so desperate for TVL and metrics, who feel as though the blockchain is getting left behind. That's what it feels like to me. So you are giving up custody. You're selling your XRP for this representation. I went through the documents with you. This is an entity that is not being overseen. Does not have licensing because it quote unquote doesn't need them. It's a lot of red flags, a lot of alarms. That's what it feels like to me. And I can't fault any promoter because it can feel like a good thing. Now that I have uh, any content creator, I can't fault because it feels like a good thing. Now, I will say this. I've provided documents. I provided a link in the documents. You guys should do your own homework and do your due diligence. So the documents and how you read them and how you review them have nothing to do with feelings. I'm just sharing my feeling. The documents and how you review them are the documents and how you review them. If you don't want to ask ChatGPT, take those documents and ask some professionals. What does that mean for me as a retail person? Just a regular, average, everyday Jane or Joe. Don't be hoodwinked and bamboozled by some APY and quote unquote professional managers. There's a reason why they want your valuable asset. It's a reason for it. Back in 16 and 17 with those HYIPs, they weren't asking for dollars. Why come they weren't asking for the inferior money and give you a representation of that? Why were they asking for Bitcoin? Just got to ask yourself that. Why were they asking for Bitcoin? 2016, a lot of stuff going on. I'm not sure if Bitcoin ain't got the blessing yet. Why were they asking for Bitcoin and then giving you a representation of it? Why were they asking for Ethereum and then giving you a representation of it? Why weren't they asking for your dollar? And you got to ask yourself, I think, why are they asking for your XRP? Surely it's valuable to you. Surely you see a big time future as an asset holder of this particular asset. Surely you see that. And you're going to risk that for some new thing with people that you don't know because someone that you trust is talking about it. I promise you this, after people go through those documents, they can't help but have a different opinion and ask some questions because the risk there are the risk there. It's not about this Klaus dude and whether or not he is a good actor or not, or this Fabio dude. It's not about that. It's not about whether or not Hyperrhythm is a good person or not. It's not about whether or not the people from Axelar are well intended or not. What matters is that you are giving up custody of your valuable asset and putting yourself with burdening yourself with all of the risk and giving up custody. Why would you do that? But I'm telling you right now, this whole thing of the desperation of getting some metrics on the XRPL is just blinding people, just blinding them. And it's so obvious. Iman says, we are here looking at Flare because of these very concerns and opportunities. That's exactly right. Yes, yeah. Timeline, Peter says, any guesses how fast F assets go live after the competition? No, Hugo did not give a date. He just said if we didn't find any major things that we would be moving forward with it. So no dates. I can only tell you I suspect it will be in October, but that's just me suspecting, speculating. So yeah, for me, I believe. But are we at the finish line or starting line for what? F assets? Stony Bones, what's good, my guy? Just joined. Sorry if you covered. I have covered. The 10% yield on mXRP is not real. Well, I don't know about mXRP yield on mXRP. I don't know if that's real or not. What I do know is real is that you're selling your valuable asset for a representation of something that is not your valuable asset. That's what mXRP is. Some structured certificate slant legal note that in the end, when crap hits the fan, leaves you without your valuable asset. And if you hope to redeem before crap hits the fan, you may or may not get the redemption. And that redemption is going to be looks like it's going to be in cash, not your XRP, from going through the documents. You bought 100 yesterday as a test. What were you trying to test, bro? Stony Bones. Tell me about the test. What were you trying to test? So let me ask this, and I'm just curious. Did you read the documentation from Midas, Stony Bones? Did you read any of the public disclosures on what that mXRP product is and who issues it and any of that stuff? This will be a really good teaching point for the rest of the community. Did you read any of the documents, the legal disclaimers? No, just a post from Axelar. So, family, what does that tell you? I appreciate you being honest, Stony. What does that tell you? Anyone care to answer? What does that tell you? Stony says, no. All I read was the post from Axelar. All I read was from the promoter. So what does that tell you? Please give me some answers. What came in the Zaman, Stony Bones? What? mXRP came in the Zaman? That's right, I-Man. Acting first and verifying later. But, bro, what is mXRP? Do you know what it legally is? Do you know what that legally is? Do you know how you're going to get your XRP? Do you know what redemption means? Do you know what a subordinated creditor is? Do you know whether or not the people issuing the mXRP are legally is a legal issuer with subject to authority by regulators? You should definitely check out the live stream, bro. Check it out from beginning to end. Right? Those are questions that probably should have been answered before testing. Do me a favor and let us know how getting your XRP back is going to work. So, again, you say, like, I see this thing like mXRP is going to be on the ledger, right? It's on the ledger. It's going to be on the ledger, right? But what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that really mean? That it's on Zaman. What does that really mean? You have to know what mXRP is. It's a certificate, it's a representation of an asset, and they're calling it a token. Right? They're calling it a token, right? They're calling it a token. And so this is what the again, you missed this part, Stony, but there are people, professionals out there who know how to come into a market and market a product and how to get that product marketed. Professionals. So that's nothing new. That happens all the time. That happens all the time in the digital asset space. People hear from people they trust, like Zaman, like Axelar. We've all done it. And we rush to this thing because we trust the people promoting it. And we don't take time to check out the people behind it. Now, why do you think I know to do this now? Because that's what I did. Because I learned from my mistakes with Celsius. I learned from my mistake with Celsius. I never thought to myself years later, as I never thought to myself, why are they requiring me to sign this new terms and agreement before I can log in to get my assets? It happened 2 or 3 times, Stony. We're talking years after I had been on a platform. You get one of these, you gotta agree to these terms and agreements before you can access the app where your assets lie. 2 or 3 times. You didn't do anything wrong, Stony. You didn't do anything wrong. You trusted, you made a decision based on the people you trust. You didn't do anything wrong, right? And I never thought to myself, I'm in the app and they're like, why do they want me to sign this new terms and agreement? I'm like, dude, I need to get to my app. I need to get to my stuff. Maybe I want to deposit more stuff, or maybe I want to take some stuff off, right? So I'm like, okay, terms and agreement, cool. All right, check. Let me log in. You couldn't log in. You could not log in without reading, and agreeing. You had to agree. You could not agree in order to access the app. What were they doing? They were changing the terms and agreement to their favor. Why? Because they knew they were in trouble. I didn't know they were in trouble. They came up publicly and said that everything is good, that all these rumors were a lie. They were trying to FUD and all other kind of stuff. Right? So you didn't do anything wrong. What I was referencing, this is the behavior. This is the behavior, and that there are people out there who seek to leverage that behavior and take advantage of that behavior. That's what I'm saying. Professionals. This is what Stephen is intimating to the community right now. I'm telling you, professionals. You know how I got hip to the hoodwink and bamboozle from the HYIPs of Brave Rewards and BitConnect and Gold something and all of those things. You know how I got hip to it? From a guy who ran up the platform, who could no longer live with himself, that's what he was doing to people. That he and others would get together, create something because they had some skills in software and IT. Yeah. So I'm not saying that Midas is that, but like ChatGPT says, it's if it rhymes, you know how they say well, cycles aren't the same, but they can rhyme. That's what it feels like to me. That's what it feels like to me. And the biggest point of this whole live stream and yesterday's live stream is you can get stuff done in a non-custodial manner on Flare with APYs. And they are eventually going to have these professional managed vaults thing. But here's what I know what it's not going to have: an option for you to not have complete custody of your stuff. So I'm pretty certain, I should say, that's not going to be the case with these vaults. That's coming. My guess is these vaults will be coming. Firelight's going to have them, but I don't know if they're going to have them before Flare introduces the protocol managed wallets. I don't think it'll be before then, but I don't know. Yep. Yep. If I was talking to my bro, if I was talking to my son, I would say, yep, just wait. Right. But what I would also say that it is time for us to act or go on a journey of becoming a sophisticated investor. And that requires doing due diligence and homework before we hop in. Because Axelar and others can be just as easily hoodwinked and bamboozled as anyone else. And again, I'm not saying that there's some nefarious intent, but what I am saying from legal documents, you, the XRP holder, takes on all the risk, all of it. And I'm suggesting that you don't have to. I'll say this again. I don't know if the people from Midas have any nefarious intent. I don't know them. But what I do know that legally they have absolved themselves of the risk and they have put all the risk on you. And in return, they get the valuable asset XRP and they give you some representation and all the risk. That's what I'm saying. So Stony Bone says, I've been stacking FLR for years. I'm waiting for the mainnet. I only jumped into mXRP because of FOMO. You're right. And I'm not trying to be right. What I'm trying to do here, Stony, is look out for the XRP holder. I'm not interested in looking out for some company, some entity. I'm trying to look out for the individual, the individual person, and help them. That's what I'm here for. I'm not interested in some metric for TVL. And the XRP out is an awesome blockchain, which is what I'll question. But just like Crypto Eddie said, it needs more features, needs more programmability. And it is said to be coming. So why rush with this thing? From some entity. Again, if I ask you who's Hugo Philion, how many of you know who he is? If I ask you who is Flare Lab, how many of you know who it is? If I ask you who is the Flare Foundation, Flare Labs, Flare Networks, how many of you know who that is? How long have they been in the community? How long have they been in the community? And then compare your answers to the people from Midas. Who is this dude, Mr. Dinkelmeyer? Who is it? How long has he been in the community? I would ask that of Doppler Finance. I would ask that of Stroh Finance. And what I mean by that, those who are throw a little my little Brooklyn days. Those who are 10 toes deep in the XRP community, you know. You know. You don't have to ask that about Flare Networks and Hugo Philion. 10 toes deep in the community. Through the good, the bad, the up and the down, the ugly, to pivoting, to putting off dates, to all of that. Dude has not run away. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. The dude has not run away. Who is this Dinkelmeyer dude? Who is he? Like, who is he? That's what I'm saying. I don't know who he is. I'm asking you, do you know who he is? So why would, if you don't know who he is, why would you trust him with your stuff? That entity just got started 2023. Stephen Williams just got started. People want to point to some professional background. What does that matter? It doesn't matter to me that he's formerly of Goldman Sachs or, or any other entity. So is Raul Paul. So is Tika Tawari. So is I forget the other guy's name. Not Dan Tapiero, Dan Tapiero, or the Pantera dude. What does that matter? What does that matter? Market stresses are market stresses. By the way, who's the other dude? At Used to be a big time XRP hater, then changed his tune a little bit. Galaxy Capital, right? Okay, back all these backgrounds. Did he lose a lot of money in Luna or no? Did he wake up with nefarious intent? I don't think so. But he still lost money, which means he lost his people's money that he was managing. What does that mean? He has some background. What does that mean? The market don't care. The market did not care that Alice Mashinsky had 3 unicorn businesses. The market didn't care about reputation. Again, I'm learning from past experiences. Why is this dude coming into the community and looking to snatch up your XRP? Right? Dark Hotto says, why would you trust Ripple with your money? LOL. I haven't trusted Ripple with my money. LOL. So you got to ask that question. Who is this dude and why is he looking for your XRP? Right? Just got to ask. Right? And it's just an opportunity from us to just learn from our past mistakes in this space. Celsius, Nexo, BlockFi, 3 Hours Capital, the one with a V, I can't remember the name of that one, and FTX. The one with the V is in Victor. What was that called? I can't remember the name of that. Right? Right? It's not decentralized. mXRP, the entity there, Midas, not decentralized. Um, just a lot of red flags. Again, I went through One of the documents of four. I think two might be the same though. And I put links in those. If you'd like the links again in the comments, let me know. I would love for you to do your own due diligence, to do your own homework. I challenge you to take that first one, Midas Software what is it called here? Here, I'll put them in here, even though you don't. This prospectus document date, and ask a professional, what does that mean for you? Voyager, thank you. There's one document for you, link, Stony. I don't know what this final terms means. I didn't go over this. The only one I went over was the first one. Oh, it's not a whole lot of stuff here. It's not a whole lot of stuff in this final terms. All right, let's go over this one together. Blockchain-based certificates program. Contractual terms. All right, let's go to that one together. Berlin, Germany. Midas Software out of Berlin. Offer of M-basis tokens. It's in parentheses. It says the securities. Pursuant to the issuer's blockchain-based certificates program, the document constitutes the final terms of the securities of the product described herein. Terms used herein shall be deemed to be defined as such for the purpose of general terms and conditions of the securities issued by Midas Software GmbH. Something address in Germany. Midas is the issuer, as set forth in the base prospectus dated July of 2024. This document constitutes the final terms of the securities described herein and must be read in conjunction with the base prospectus. Securities is saying here. Full information on the issuer and the offer of the securities is only available on the basis of the combination of these final terms in base prospectus. The base prospectus, together with any supplement thereto, and the final terms are available for viewing and download at the website of the issuer. I thought this said form of final terms. Liquid yield tokens. Midas Axelar Hyperliver. Yeah, so that doesn't really say anything. Midas does not sell its tokens to U.S. persons. That's just to cover themselves. But I'll put that in ChatGPT too. Here it is. Forms of the final terms. The base prospectus get together with the final terms constitutes the prospectus with respect to the securities described. Securities. Together with the final term constitutes respect to securities regulation. The redemption amount is calculated on the basis of a hypothetical best efforts liquidation of assets reflecting the underlying and a share thereof corresponding to the number of tokens redeemed by the token holder versus the total number of tokens issued. Token holder fees are subtracted from the redemption amount. Midas provides an approximated redemption price on the app and via public blockchain oracles. So in other words, the price they're showing you is most likely not going to be the price at redemption. So it says here, cash settlement. Yes. Settlement currency, US dollar, USDC, USDT, euro, not XRP. Yield calculation. Yield is determined by an annualized APY of the underlying. The tracking is based on the combined net asset value. So this is subject to the NAV rules. It's not great. Of the preference wallet addresses, which represent the tokenized portfolio holdings. So it is NAV. It's not great. It's not great for the holder, especially when it comes time to redemption and you throw on cash settlement. It's not great for retail. The issue is such responsibility for the terms. It looks like the Dinkelmeyer dude signed that. So that doesn't really say anything. Doesn't really say anything. But it lets you know it's a cash settlement, fam. It is not in-kind redemption. And I'm certain that most people thought that it was in-kind redemption plus the yield that you earned. So let me go through this non-custodial thing and see what that says. I haven't read that part yet. See exactly what it says. Qualified subordination. Qualified subordination. In order to avoid over indebtedness with the meaning of section 19 of the Germany insolvency, Germany, of the issuer and the event of liquidation proceedings, the token holders and the issuer hereby agree in accordance with section 39.2 to subordinate all current and future claims to the claims of the token holders under these general terms and conditions in such a way that claims shall only be satisfied after all claims and claims of existing and future creditors of the issuer specified. The token holders can only demand fulfillment of such claims if no insolvency event pursuant to applicable law has occurred. That's a bunch of legalese stuff there. So no token holder may set off any claim arising out of the blockchain-based certificates against any claim of the issuer. Modification of a smart contract, substitution of the issuer, no set off. That's just more insolvency stuff. The security agent went over that. Okay. The only duties and obligations that the issuer owes the token holders are those set out expressly in the product documentation. This basically saying here with this that you are responsible for the wallet that you provide to them to receiving your cash in USDC or US dollars. The issuer does not ever have custody, possession, or control of the token holder's digital assets at any time. The token holders are solely responsible for the custody of the cryptographic private keys to the digital wallets they hold, and the token holder should never share their wallet, whatever, in connection with the token holder's use of a wallet. Likewise, the issuer does not accept any responsibility for the issuer does not accept any responsibility for or liability to the token holders in connection with the token holder's use of a wallet. Likewise, the token holders are solely responsible for the associated wallet, and the issuer is not liable for any acts or omissions by the token holders in connection with or as a result of the token holders' wallets being compromised. That's just something covering themselves, essentially. These general terms and conditions, the product documentation, and the tokens are exclusively subject to the laws of the Federal Republic of Germany, with the exclusion of the conflict of laws rules of the international private law and UN sales. the place and performance and sole legal venue for all disputes arising from legal relationships regulated under the general terms and conditions is the respective business seat of the issuer, unless mandatory statutory provisions contradict and the parties are merchants, legal persons under public law or special funds. So it's basically saying this, anything is going to happen in Germany. The issuer's business seat at the time of the first launch of the token is in Berlin. So, yeah. So basically, the first one I read is mainly the few things that I went over in the beginning of the stream are the very most important ones. And I read that in the stream. Make sure you check out the stream from beginning to end. Dark Hodl has jokes. That's funny, bro. You're a funny dude. So, yeah, I don't know. One would think Germany has good laws, Peter Summers. Yeah, I don't know. So there, that is it right there, fam. That was it in a nutshell. Um, so yeah, the long and shorter for me, yeah, I won't be using that MXRP. Doesn't matter if this issued certificate is on the ledger or not. Um, yeah, I don't trust it. Yeah, I don't trust it, and I don't want to give up custody of my XRP for some representation thereof. And just like we read, the secondary market is not a thing. Like that's not the viable solution, right? We read that. Make sure you check out the live stream from the beginning, and I covered that. What about it being tradable on on the XRPL? So you want me to cover that again? Let me cover that again. Let me find that for you because I think that's important. All right, so let me cover that. Let me find it first, and then I'll share it. Because I actually, I asked it, specifically about, well, what about it being tradable on a DEX? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Here it is right here. All right. Let me share that real quick. Because I thought people might, want to bring that up and say, okay, well, yeah, but it's on a wallet and it's on the ledger. Okay. I said, okay, this is perfect. Thanks. So what about the argument that may be made? I'm not sure if it will, that since this mXRP is going to be tradable on the XRPL blockchain on a trading environment that's probably a DEX, right? What do you say? What do you say to that? Or what can I say to that argument in terms of getting back their actual XRP? I want to know how people can get back their actual XRP. It's a great pushback to prep for. Here's the clean way to answer that. But it's tradable on a DEX, so I can get my XRP back anyway argument. Trading does not equal redemption. A DEX listing just lets you sell your mXRP to another trader at whatever price the market will pay. It does not give you an in-kind claim of the underlying XRP. In calm markets, you might swap close to par. In stress, you will often face a discount. slippage, and thin liquidity. Secondary market is not a primary claim. Swapping mXRP to XRP on a DEX is selling your wrapper to someone else. You're not pulling XRP from the issuer or the custodian. Very, very similar to the high yield investment platform model. Very, very similar. Discount risk. If redemptions are cash settled and slow slant uncertain, buyers demand a discount. mXRP can trade below the NAV. You would get back XRP only by accepting fewer XRP per mXRP. Listing says here liquidity dries up in stress when people liquidity. And we're talking about anyway, liquidity. When people all want out, AMM depth evaporates, spreads widen, and price gap opens. The DEX route can become expensive or unusable. What would you compare? Where would you put the volume currently in the XRPL for trading? Would you consider it a very liquid market or no? Listing doesn't fix legal priority. Even if you swap, right here, listing doesn't fix legal priority. Even if you swap, the product still remains cash settled and holders still lack rights to the underlying. DEX liquidity doesn't change the custody slant insolvency facts. And this is an important one because we just read this here about the NAV. Basis plus timing risk remain. If you wait for issuer redemption, you get the next slant last NAV in cash, not XRP, minus fees after delay. If you sell on the DEX, you take the market discount now. Either way, there's a gap to par. As an example, mXRP book value is 1 XRP, but the DEX is a bid at 0.9 XRP. I can swap to XRP by accepting 0.93 XRP per mXRP. That's not getting my XRP back. That's paying a 7% exit tax to the market. A DEX listing lets you sell your wrapper, not redeem your XRP. In stress, wrappers trade at a discount and liquidity vanishes. So, quote unquote, I'll just swap back to XRP can mean getting less XRP than you started with. So, I think that about wraps it up. I hope it makes sense to you. Again, I left links in the description in the video here for you guys to check it out. Do your own homework. You do your due diligence. For me, Stephen, that is the way to go. Yes, for me. I hope you've been watched enough videos, been doing your homework and due diligence to come to your own conclusions. But for me, in the Crypto Seegers home, and I've said this on my channel once before, so I'm not just saying it for you. I've said this before. For me and my XRP, it's going on Flare and Flare networks. Not all of it, a proportion of it, but that's where I'm taking my XRP. Rebecca Young. How are you? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for checking in. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you didn't get a chance to do so. That'd be awesome. B. Johnson says everyone wants our XRP, and it's only going to get worse as time heats up. 100%, because the market is recognizing the assets that are valuable, and there will be people looking to take your XRP. Rebecca Young says, just in the room and they don't know what mXRP is. I'm not sure if I want to tell you. Maybe it's probably a good thing that you don't know. I don't know. But it's a new thing out on the streets in the XRP community called Midas XRP. They happen to be at XRPL Korea somehow. I'm not sure how. And it is going through the community. And I just did my homework on them and the issuer, the people behind the mXRP. And there's a lot of red flags. And um, I joke when I say I wouldn't do mXRP with your XRP. You ever heard that joke, right? So that's what I feel like with this product. Um, and for me, in crypto terms, I'm in crypto. I'm in this level playing field as a digital asset space where I don't have to be an accredited investor. I have equal access to massively valuable assets that are currently undervalued but massively valuable assets, and I can get to them in a level playing field manner without an accredited investor, without doing interviews, without nepotism. I can just participate, and I'm taking that valuable asset that the world says is the number three most valuable asset in the world of crypto, and I'm going by I'm selling my XRP to get this mXRP, and now I have entered in to the system, traditional financial system, which is rigged against you. And I've taken on all the legal, custodial, and market stress risk. And I have a representation of an asset, not the valuable asset. And I am now subject to the system's rules and laws and regulations that is rigged against the regular retail person. That's what you're doing by selling your XRP for mXRP. Under some hoodwink and bamboozle and sleight of hand of APY. And oh, we're gonna put it on we're gonna put this mXRP thing on the blockchain. Look, the TVL numbers will look awesome. This one? That's what it is to me. So thank you for the subs, Tony. I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, my guy Kevin Land did a super chat as well. Appreciate that. Stephen Williams says, just as I thought, happy to find your channel and your research is appreciated. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you being here. So that's what that essentially is. And again, this whole live stream was based on documentations presented publicly that you can find from Midas. And from interpreting those documents with myself and going through them with ChatGPT, there are all kind of red flags and alarms and everything spells to it's awesome for Midas and it's awful, awful, awful for the XRP holder. All right, fam, there it is. I rambled long enough. I appreciate you guys being here. Do me a favor, if you didn't get a chance to hit that like button on the way in, please do so on the way out. That'd be really, really cool. Again, in the chat, I put the links. Hopefully, I remember to put them in the description of the video, but I put them in the link in the chats here so you can go through those documents yourself. But they are publicly available. I found them through ChatGPT. I'm sure you can as well. So do me a favor, hit that like button on the way out. That'd be really, really cool. And as you happen to be in that 55% or so of people that are hanging out, listening to, and watching the Crypto Siege, do me a favor, please consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget to ring that notification bell, baby, so that you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. I'm going to end this one like I do all my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this or perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Bye.